Is it just me, or does poetry seem like it's a forgotten art form? It's like it's been years since we had a poet of the level of Shakespeare or Allan Poe or Emily Dickinson. I guess it's because in today's world we have rap, which in a way is a form of poetry but still distinctively different. For example, Tupac, who notoriously was known for his rapping and the idea of thug life, but only few knew the fact that he was a talented poet that thought about the demise of his life. What I'm trying to say is that poetry has this softness to it, emotion to it. And when you write, you feel, you go deep. I want to begin writing poems as another creative outlet or as a way to reflect on life. Therefore, to shine light on poetry, I decided to have a poet-inspired day in San Francisco, and it began in this small place called Vesuvio Cafe. This place was established in 1948 by Henry Lenore. Since then, they have preserved the building to look the same, and it just felt like time travel back in time. Throughout the years, it hosted writers, poets, artists, musicians, which is why I decided to come here to this cafe to put myself in this creative environment. But plot twist, it's not really a cafe, it's a bar. The poets that came to this spot would get drunk, so I figured as I am a poet for the day, why not get me a glass of wine to unwind? As I sat in that building, I couldn't help but admire the details, the artistry, the history, the stories that likely happened in this bar. It also really had me thinking of how much can change with time. Back then, buildings had such character, but nowadays buildings are more like bland boxes. Has money got into our heads, or has it always been like this? Is it better to be rich but miserable, or poor but happy? Just some things I thought about. I finished my wine and went to where the poets go afterwards, which conveniently is a bookstore right next door. Lawrence Ferlinghetti was the man responsible opening this poetry-driven bookstore back in 1953. It was my first time being surrounded by this much poetry. Most of it was inspired by anti-authoritative ideas. I was excited to go upstairs where the poets used to hang out, but sadly it still had bookstore vibe rather than a hangout and write type of vibe. Either way, it was still a very cool spot, and I enjoyed seeing all the different types of works on display. Being able to sit upstairs and read by the window gave me time to self-reflect again. How much time do I have left on this planet? How should I even live life? What's my purpose? It was scary to think about, but at this point, I decided to put everything I felt in the day into a poem. So I headed to the beach, and I felt a sense of peace being there. The sand, the wind, the water. I walked, I sat, I observed, I breathed, I wrote. Life is mysteriously beautiful. Death is what makes it meaningful. Forgetful I am of my clock. One day God will come and knock. I will never know the when, so love the present until the end.